Senator Gallacher.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. I too rise to make a contribution in this. Taking note of answers, and before I go to the answer to Senator Conroy's question by Minister Payne, I think it's very clear that if there are a number of children up there, they'd be best taking advice from their parents, not from a very loud senator on the other side of the chamber about the reality, because I think if they do go back and investigate, they'll find that this government, which keeps blaming the previous government for all its problems, has actually doubled the deficit. So on that point I'll rest. But what I do want to say, Mr Deputy President, is there have been three words thrown out in recent times by almost all of the front bench: nimble, agile and innovation. Now, in respect to those 3 points, I just want to put one thing on the public record once again. The coalition today is committed to building 12 new submarines here in Adelaide. We will get that task done, and it is a really important task, not just for the Navy but for the nation. And we're going to see the project through and put it very close after force protection as our #1 priority if we win the next federal election. Now, they have been very nimble. 2 Prime Ministers have dodged the issue. Not 1, but 2. They have been very agile. 3 Defence Ministers, not 1, not 2, but 3 Defence Ministers have dodged the issue. 3. And innovative. The competitive evaluation process, which when it was announced, even the minister didn't understand. He struggled at a press conference to actually explain what it was about. Minister Andrews gave the worst press conference probably in the history of defence ministers, in that he didn't understand what he was announcing. And it was very, very clear that he was all at sea. But what was also, well, no pun intended, but, really, what is exceptionally clear is no one in South Australia has forgotten this. No one in South Australia. Mr Deputy President, I was at Port Augusta last Sunday at a sub-branch meeting, and it was raised there. What are we doing about our manufacturing base? What are we doing about our manufacturing base all over the regional area and also in Adelaide? Where are our next generation of apprentices going to get employment? When are we going to get an announcement to build these submarines? Now, I think it's very instructive to go back even a little bit further. And when I was on the Joint Committee Public Accounts and Audit, there was a very important Australian National Audit Office report published. And as a member of that committee, it was delivered to me embargoed. And I got that embargoed copy at 10 o'clock on the morning before it was presented in the chamber, and I read it. But I didn't need to. I didn't need to because it was in the Financial Review the night before. Now, I came into this chamber and I said, one would hope that the Minister's office didn't leak that information, which was highly critical of the workforce in South Australia. Highly critical. And let's just revisit what this Minister said when asked, why has the Minister resorted to trashing the hard-working men and women of the Australian ship and submarine industry in order to justify breaking his promise? That's Minister Johnson. Isn't it time the government held a competitive tender process, not evaluation process, for our new submarine fleet so as the Australian people can be confident the submarines were chosen on merit, not the personal bias of the Minister? And then it became very apparent what this government thinks of the workers in shipbuilding and submarines. The Minister, in all his glory, responded by telling the Australian people in this chamber he did not trust the ASC, the Australian Submarine Corporation, to build a canoe. That's what they think of workers in South Australia. That's what they think of manufacturing workers in South Australia, and they were only dragged kicking and screaming at the threat of their electoral losses in South Australia to this argument, and they invented the competitive evaluation process to cover their nimble, agile and innovative stance, running away from commitments, 2 Prime Ministers, 3 Defence Ministers. running away from pre-election commitments, a disgrace.
Order, Senator.